welcome everyone to this webinar on the SOLIDWORKS Visualize that Carla will present for us. Just a quick brief description on what the Visualize is and who has access to the Visualize. So basically just a quick introduction is for your Visualize. So if you've got a SOLIDWORKS license where it's and your Visualize is what we call subscription based, meaning that if you are on subscription, you automatically have a SOLIDWORKS Visualize package. All right, so just keep in mind that for the guys that has SOLIDWORKS Professional and SOLIDWORKS Premium, you automatically already have a Visualize Standard. All right, so then Carla's going to show us some Visualize Standard features, and then also she's going to focus a lot on the Visualize Professional package. All right. So yeah, Carla, I'm going to give it over to you.
Thank you, Yaku, for that introduction. Guys, welcome everybody. As Yaku just said, I will be focusing mainly on Visualize Professional. We will discuss more about what Visualize Standard is capable of in the Q&A section at the end of the presentation. Just quickly, something about Visualize. It's a very powerful rendering tool that is used by many companies to bring their CAD designs to life. They use it for marketing purposes or whatever you choose to use that for. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. Okay. So over here, I have a few different projects. I'm going to be focusing mainly on 3 of them for this presentation. I'm going to start off with this ring. This is not working. Oh. Okay. So over here is a very simple model that I've got here. And what I want to do is I want to bring it to life and make it look like it's in a studio environment. So let's position this guy. Okay, so the one ring alone looks very sad to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy my model and position my second model differently. Like so. This is still something that SOLIDWORKS, that Visualize Standard is capable of. Okay. And then for those of you that know, you can add appearances in Visualize. However, there are options that you can import your appearances from SOLIDWORKS to Visualize. If you have a SOLIDWORKS model and you add in SOLIDWORKS alone, you can just import that through and that will pop up here on the right-hand side in your palette. So I'm just changing the 2 models so that they look different. Look at this. There we go. Nice. There we go. Okay, so that looks cool. Now I just want to add a backplate to it so that it looks like it is in an environment. Just see. I'm going to be using this white satin background. Now, you can just make sure in your model itself, in your advanced settings, that your shadows are enabled. So the thing is, because my render selection is set to preview, you're not going to see as many details as in your actual render, because when I do render, I render it in accurate. So just keep that in mind. there's no shadows at the moment. Okay, looks good. Now I want this to have a little bit of a lighting setting. So I can just go here to my scenes. I can just add a light. I can pick any of these options. However, for this, I'm going to be picking a target, and I want the light to hit maybe over there. No, let's do it over here. See, so there's a little bit of a shadow. However, it's still in preview mode, so just keep that in mind. Now, on my light, I can transform where this is. If I just zoom out a little bit and make the light visible, you'll see that it's very far away from the actual object. So I can just transform that, bring it a little bit closer. Maybe not too close. And I can just choose how I want this light to be positioned. Just position my model. And there we go. I am ready to render. Okay. So everything looks okay here. Over here in our render wizard in quality, this is where you pick your render selection. If you want to render preview mode, fast or accurate. I'm choosing accurate because I want the shadows to cast a little bit better. And I just say next, make sure that it saves in the correct place, and then click render. There you go. And there's our beautiful model. You can see that there's even a reflection of the two rings in each other. There's also an option that you can switch that off if you choose to do so. But there you go. That is our first render. You can change this however you want to. There's also an option in Visualize Professional that you can do multiple viewports. I'll just show that in our last render project. Okay, now some movement. So that was our basic image rendering. For the next render, I'm going to be focusing on motion renders. Let's find this. Awesome. So over here, I have this, it looks like a toy jet. It's only drawn in one part. This is basically what that looks like. So for this one, I'm just going to be adding appearances just to give you a little bit of a feel for what it looks like to add and change appearances, adding decals, all those kind of things. So at the moment, it has this grayish looking appearance. For this, I want it to look more like a car paint type of color. Let's try this one. Just change that. I want my jet to be black. Here we go. So I'm happy with that. That looks good. However, I want to add a decal. I want to add some branding to this so that it looks a little bit better. Sorry. I'm going to be adding our logo. However, for this, I want to add the logo on both wings, but you can't add the same decal to two places. So you can just copy paste. Then you have to drag it over, turn it. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this orange bar that's going through this decal. That's called the decal depth. That can be just changed to match the wing size, because let's say, for example, you have two models underneath each other and the decal depth is set to what it was just now. It's going to reflect on both models at the top and the bottom, because it's going through the actual line. I don't know if you can see here at the bottom. It's reflecting at the bottom of the wing as well. Okay, and then just to the other wing as well. Perfect. Nice. Okay, so now that I have my model and it looks good, once again, I want to add a back plate so that it looks like this model is actually flying in the air. Just find this one. There we go. This one. So this can basically be any backplate. You can do this in a studio, you can do it in a workshop. It depends on the model and it depends on what exactly you want your background to look like. So at the moment, the sun is not hitting this model right. As you can see, it looks like the sun is coming from the top of the model, and I want to change that. So I want to put this jet in a sunlight environment. So your HDR environment is for any studios, anything you want to do in that type of environment. Your lights is what I just showed you with the rings, and then you get your sunlight environment, which you can change here at the bottom. Your brightness that you can change. And then depending on where exactly your model is located, you can define a location. You can say it's in Italy, in South Africa, Canada, wherever you want it to be, if that is necessary. And then for this model specifically, I'm just choosing on the little globe here. So I'm picking where I want the sun to sit. Okay. The logo is a bit dull, but that's just how that's going to look for now. Just turn the brightness up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now my jet is in there, but I want it to look like it's flying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this jet in the corner over here, and I want it to fly over the screen. There you go. So you go back to your model in your palette here on the right-hand side. You right-click on that, and we're creating a keyframe so that we can create some movement. Switch this one. There we go. I know this looks very wonky. Don't worry about it. It's going to look a lot smoother in the animation. Oh, which models? I usually use the models when I'm working with two different models. I'll show you just now what I'm talking about. So now it looks like my jet is actually flying, which is very cool. Okay. But what I was talking about just now is you can just go and copy paste this. Paste. So that's not doing that. Okay. So now currently the first animation is active, this one that has this sphere around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one over there. And it's part number 1 and create a keyframe. I'm going to make the second one active. Move it over here. And create a keyframe. That looks like they're flying over each other, which is pretty cool. Okay, you can leave this running while rendering. It just takes a little bit of time with the rendering process. You can just go over to your render wizard, and instead of clicking image, you click animation. Next, make sure that it's a video instead of an image sequence. Media is going to be full. Size has to be the same, obviously, as the image that you inserted. And then you can choose your render selection. For the time that we have for this webinar, I'm going to be selecting the preview setting. Just make sure that it's in the right place. This might take a while. Yeah, so my co-presenter just reminded me to let you guys know that this is Visualize Professional. Visualize Standard can't do this. I don't know why it's not rendering, but that is basically what your render will look like. So it's just going to pop out a video. Just give you an example. It's just going to be in an MP4 format, and it's just going to be a moving object. So. There we go. So that's it for the jet. I think that's a pretty cool model. Okay. So for my next project, I'm going to be doing something that we actually did in our Academy's launch. I created this AMG model. Okay, so I'm starting off at a different point that I did in our launch, just because we are going to run out of time if I have to add every one of these individual appearances. However, I did leave something open just to show you what I'm talking about when it comes to the vehicle wizard. So our vehicle wizard is a feature in Visualize Professional that you have so that you can drive around with cars, which is very cool. There's a lot of different options. I'll show you just now. So for this model specifically, if you look at the actual model in your design tree, you'll see that it consists of multiple different parts. However, the wheels are all separated into individual groups. You'll see that they're highlighting here in our viewport. The reason I'm doing this is to give you an idea of how it's going to work with the vehicle wizard. If they are all grouped into one part, like I did with the suspension, you'll see when I hover over the suspension with the appearance that all 4 parts are highlighted. That is an option. You can do that to group appearances so that you don't have to go individually add them like I'm doing over here. So that you can just add them in one go. However, because of my design and how I want my render to end up looking like at the end in my plan with this design, I have decided to do it in this way. There we go. Otherwise, if it's grouped, all the wheels are going to turn in the same direction and then your car is going to end up tipping over. Okay. For this, I'm not going to be adding any decals. We're going to leave it in studio. Come on. Okay. So in your model, here on the right-hand side on your palette, you'll see here at the bottom there's a few different tabs, one of which is physics. There's your simulation type. Okay, so in the simulation type, there's multiple different options that you can choose on. Dynamic, static, and then your vehicle. Dynamic and static is more for different type of models. But for this one, I'm going to be choosing vehicle. So let's start with our vehicle wizard. I don't want it to choose everything automatically. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to say manual. Okay. Now you'll see in my design tree here at the right-hand side, I've already named everything according to what the vehicle setup is going to be. And I obviously did that on purpose, just to make my life a little bit easier. It's very easy to make mistakes if things aren't labeled correctly. Okay, I have no brake calipers, so I'm just going to say apply. Then here at the bottom, there's a simulation manager that just opened up. And just click play, and you'll see that the car's going to bounce a little bit. There we go. Then for those of you who have played video games, it's your normal WASD to move the car out. So I'm just going to zoom out. Drive around. I lost my call. This happens every single time. Then you just click stop, and it goes back to where it was supposed to be. So to render this, all you do is you click this record button, you move the car around wherever you want it to be, and then you press stop and render. And then your render will come out looking like this. There we go. So this was the full render that we did for the launch. As you can see, I was driving it as well. There are multiple different options. If you choose a motion study render with your camera angles, you get something like this. This is the design that I chose. Just going to slow this down a little bit. You can change the speed in Visualize itself as well. It's entirely dependent on how you want to design this, where you want to put your camera angles, all those kind of things. Nice. This is another image render that I did. This was created with perspectives in Visualize. There's also an option to do so. I think I'll actually show you how to do this. This was very cool. So that it looks like the car is actually sitting on the road and the entire perspective of the car is moving towards an endpoint direction over there. However, this looks like the car was standing still, so then I created another image where it looks like the wheels are actually turning. So that was also pretty cool. Let me just show you that one. Okay. Update. Okay, so you see what I'm talking about when I said it looks like it's moving towards the point, because right now, if you look at this projection of this car, if it drives straight over here, it's going to go over there. So this needs to be okay. Oops. Okay, so that's very simple. You stay in your scenes tab here at the right hand side. You go to your general tab when you are active on the actual backplate that you are using, and you click on Manage Camera. You'll see that the status says undefined. So all you do here is you play around with the X and the Z axis. The car is going to move a little bit. Just be patient with me. Okay, and then pause there. I want it to be more in line with the actual road. It's one of these turn around, I think. Okay, your status is now okay. Now you can play around with your model. There we go. This is also a place where I like to play around with the sunlight environment. Sun is once again hitting from a different angle. It's coming more from the top. So you can just play around. It's actually best to, when you're playing around with the sunlight environment, to edit in accurate mode. But for this project over here, obviously I am streaming or sharing my screen now at the moment, so it's going to be a bit laggy. So I just want to play around like this. Luckily for me, I can remember where everything has to go. Okay, just look at it a bit later. You can also set the time and the date. Okay, I know the car looks like a toy at the moment. It's only because I'm in the render selection of preview. So once you render in accurate mode, it's going to look a lot different. Okay. Then you can head over back to your model. You can just go animation, rotation animation. Sorry, I'm supposed to click on the actual attire. Why is this not working? Oh, never mind. Sorry about that. Okay, so in this image, only the two right, was this two left ones? Yeah, the two right wheels are visible. So it seems pointless to add the rotation animation to the opposite ones on the left-hand side. So you just go and click on your front right, add animation, rotation animation. You'll see that it's going to turn around the wrong axis when I start doing this. That's very easy to fix. You click on the animation that you've just created, you scroll down, and then you just choose a different axis. I, for example, know that it's supposed to turn around axis Z and Y. Why is this not working? X. There we go. Looks a little bit strange. Okay, but anyway, so then you just go to your rear right. Exact same thing, right click, animation, rotation animation. Just make sure that it's rotating in the correct axis. That front wheel is doing something funny. I'm not sure why. But there you go. Then you just click play. It's just turning a little bit slowly. So I'm just going to shorten the time so that it goes a little bit faster. Bring the end time closer. Then for this, because you want it to be an image with a motion, of a rotation motion in the image, just click image. Same thing, PNG, that's fine. Size is fine. You render it in accurate mode. And then you choose where your output is. For this, I'm not going to render it because I'm not sure how long that will take. However, you can just have a look on this image that I've created. This is just a stagnant render where everything is just an image. And this is the new motion. There you'll see the motion was created in the image so that it looks like the wheels are turning. And there you go. That is it for Visualize Professional. That is just a little bit about what Visualize Professional is capable of, but it's obviously capable of a lot more than that.
Thank you, Carla, for this Visualize presentation. I think there's actually a lot to learn from this Visualize. And what I know, Carla is like here by us, she's the Visualize expert. And from what I understood from her is like the Visualize is really simple and really easy to learn. So we do provide training as well on the Visualize. And if there's any questions, please feel free to get in contact with us as well.